Reece Beekman, player scouting report, ACC correspondent Riley Davis is in the house today to help us talk through Reece Beekman, who I think set a record for most consecutive breakout seasons in the ACC. Every offseason, it was like, this is Reece Beekman's breakout year. And then it kind of happened. Statistically, he was really good, but it also never really happened the way I think a lot of people envisioned it. Reece Beekman is the 51st rated player on our big board. I had him 56th on my big board. Riley, you had him 69th, which is by far the lowest of the four of us. You had him completely off of the projected draft picks. So you're going to have to be honest as we work our way through this. Let's jump into the categories. What is one word to describe Reece Beekman?
I said stopper, and that's because he's known for his defense. I will say, borderline elite, both on and off ball. Definitely off ball. Some of his reaction, his timing, and everything, getting steals, really, really good. And he shut his fair share of good college guards down, playing them on ball. And I think if he's going to stick in the league, it's going to have to be on that end. And part of why I'm so low on him is I don't buy a lot of the offense. I get the passing numbers are nice, but yeah, he's gonna have to catch a team's eye with his defense and hope that maybe finally they can have like a post hype sleeper breakout from him with a from an offensive perspective.
Yeah, his senior year this past season at Virginia, he did finally crack double digits as a scorer. 14 points, 6 assists to only 2 turnovers. I thought he was one of the better guards in the country, but the shooting percentages kind of tanked. He was 31%
Mm-hmm.
from three. He was worse from the free throw line, and it just didn't pass the eye test. This isn't a shocker to anyone who watches college basketball, but Virginia did not have a very free-flowing, smooth offense, and it often turned into like, hey, Reece Beekman, figure it out. He wasn't good enough at figuring it out. That's why Virginia was not a very good basketball team. So my word for Reece is idea. I think the idea of Reece Beekman is a lot better than the actual results you get from Reece Beekman. And that, I think, points to exactly what we're saying with like breakout season after breakout season.
Mm-hmm.
He can do a lot of things that are good on the basketball court. People want to see him do those things more consistently. It has never added up to him being a good alpha on a good team. In the NBA, is it more likely he hits his floor or his ceiling?
Floor, and I'm with you completely on the idea. Off the top of your head, even speaking to the idea, how tall do you think Reese Beekman is?
In my head, I would have said like 6'5".
Same here. I was like this. I've watching him throughout his career at Virginia, being an ACC guy. I always thought of him as 6'5". He measured under 6'2" without shoes at the combine.
Oh,
Because I thought it was interesting how little he got to the line and how inefficient he was even from 2 point range, despite his size. And it's like, well, he's not as big as we thought he was. 6'7" wingspan, good, not great. Weird looking shot. It's a lower release, so yeah. I thought he was going to be a relatively big time prospect after his freshman year, but just haven't been a huge fan of his developmental trajectory.
yeah, that's shocking to me that he's only 6'3", but I guess it's real. I went floor. I went floor for this. I especially knowing he's 6'2". He's not an NBA point guard, man. He was barely a college point guard. And maybe this is a guy who can help you in practice. Maybe this is a guy who can play some bench minutes, but I think it's much more likely he's just not an NBA player than it is that he's really helping a team in a rotation on a regular basis. What would be a good team fit that you can close your eyes and see Reece Beekman helping out with?
This might be a cop out, but I said Celtics. I mean, yeah, most players would benefit by going to a team that's about to win the NBA Finals, but just like looking at the Celtics makeup, where they have a bunch of different dudes who bring the ball up the court, it's like Reese sort of fits that mold, if you want to say. Like he's not a true point guard, but he can at least initiate the offense in spurts. Good developmental program they have there to where it's like, yeah, maybe if it's going to work anywhere, it needs to be like a playoff title contender.
That was my answer too. And I
Yeah,
don't think
look
we
at
often
us.
have consensus on this, but yeah, throw him on the best team in the league. Let him play Drew Holiday light off the bench and see what happens. That is something I think he could at least try and do. And it's one of the only forms of re-speaking in the NBA I could see sticking. What's his best season in the NBA statistically look like?
4 points, 2 assists, annoying defense.
So I'm giving him a little more credit than that. I said 9 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals.
Nine
I,
points is like
yeah,
you can stick for a few years with that.
I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I think he'll have like one poppy year on a bad team where they're like, "Oh, we don't really care, just play that guy," and it'll add up to like really good production, maybe on shitty percentages. But I don't know. I'm just kind of buying it. I've been buying the breakout year thing for years too, but he does a lot of good things, and it just needs to all come
It's true.
together. Where is he in 5 years? I'm gonna skip the first categories now that we're further down the list. He could be a starter, a bench guy, a G leaguer, overseas, or a podcaster.
Think he's in the G League. Strikes me as a kind of guy who every once in a while, like those of us who work in the college basketball media sphere, you might have various Virginia fan accounts that you follow. I have a couple of them, and I feel like, 3 years from now, I'm just going to see Reece Beekman, 19 points, 11 assists, 7 steals for the South Bay Lakers or something.
It's a
It's
good
going to
one.
be a
Yeah, he
highlight
could
tape.
he could be a generational G League steals guy for sure.
Mhm.
I said bench. I don't know how or why, but I think he'll stick in or on a roster at least, if not in a rotation, for at least one extra contract after the first. He is most likely to what? Reece Beekman, most likely to.
So this one might, it admittedly does go a little contrary to how low I've been on him so far, but I said most likely to disappear for 5 years, then reemerge on a playoff team. Sort of like what Dante Exum did. Similar.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Well, we'll get to this with our player comps. I don't think Reese's ceiling is as high as Dante Exum just because Exum has the size and the athleticism on him. But it wouldn't really, yeah, I like wouldn't be all that surprised if 5 years from now it's like, oh wow, Reece Beekman's getting minutes for the Bucks. Like Reece Beekman's coming off the bench to play with Giannis. Like where has he been the past half decade?
Yeah, I literally had that moment with Exum the other night. It's like this guy's not good enough, and then 5 years later, it's like, oh, this guy got good enough. That's cool. Yeah, that'd be nice. It would be on brand for Reece if like year 11 was the breakout season. Finally, I said Reece is most likely to have his college highlights played during a game broadcast. So it's like, and Reece Beekman comes off the bench. He's going to start the second half for the Timberwolves. And let's take a look at what Reece did during his time in Virginia 9 years ago. People love Reece Beekman highlights, man. It's really strange.
Okay, his like off-ball defense highlights in the ACC are special. If you just watch his steals compilations, it truly is insane how much ground he covers in such a short amount of time. Like I know I'm really low on Reece Beekman as an NBA prospect, but Reece Beekman was a problem defensively in college. Like let that be known before
It,
Virginia fans come after me.
this is why we have our ACC correspondent on this one. Thank you for watching the Reece Beekman scouting report. The NBA draft is coming up, and I've got something awesome for you. We are partnering with the people at NBA 2K Lab. NBA 2K is the best video game on earth. The people at 2K Lab are making some awesome stuff to make that game even more fun, and they just launched their 2024 NBA Draft Simulator, where you can find the official Sleepers Media big board. We ranked our top 75 players in this draft class. Me, Carter, Brian Ralph, Riley Davis. We did it together, and it is featured on the 2K Lab NBA Draft Simulator. You can take control of any team in the draft, play GM with just one click, and see our entire rankings before these videos even come out. Check out the link in the description of this video to try out the draft sim for yourself, and you can find more mini games at nba2klab.com/NBA-mini-games.